right. So super excited today to be here with, again, a friend of mine, someone that's helping me transform into an area of my life. So listen, Luke Howard, and again, he's a hypnotist, a therapist, and he's so I met him because, again, I'm trying to get in better shape. I hired him as kind of my wellness coach to help me do that. And what I've learned about myself is that, listen, exercise is cool for me, and we're gonna have some internet issues, but I can change my habits. But here's my biggest struggle is what I found out about myself is my relationship with food and how I think about food. So, I was talking with Luke about, how can we help me reprogram my brain of how I see food alongside with all of the other things. Because, listen, I've tried every diet. I've tried, all of that sort of stuff. And yeah, they work. I don't mind exercising. It works. But my problem wasn't the exercise or the dieting. It's up here that my relationship with food, how I see food and all of that. So that's how I met Luke. And Luke's been helping me work through some of that. Now, Luke has helped so many people with not just weight loss, but stop smoking, anxiety, pain. And again, he works from a perspective of, a different perspective of just normal therapy. So Luke, welcome. I'm excited to have you here. So tell me just a little bit about yourself, kind of where you came from and all that.
Great to be here, Jared, on the show. Very excited. And really, I got involved in, I call myself a hypnotist because it's the easiest box for most people to place me in. But really, I'm a change worker. I spent way too much time, about 21 years, spending money I didn't have, traveling with the world, studying with people far crazier than me to find the fastest, most permanent ways to change people, not just at an emotional level, meaning, hey, I'm angry, then I'm sad, because we're going through multiple emotions every day, but actually changing those behaviors. So I've told this story lots of times before, but basically when I was a kid, I had about every kind of problem you could imagine, Jared. I was fat, I was obese, I was agoraphobic, I could not communicate with people, I nearly died of having asthma, horrible relationship with my parents, bullied at school. Only two problems I didn't have, thankfully, was I was not sexually abused, and I was not addicted. Well, I was kind of addicted to food, but not any illicit drugs. And I'd gone through all forms of therapy from about the age of a 9-year-old kid. This is how messed up I got, to about the age of 19. Nothing worked. I was even more in the hole. I was miserable. I tried to kill myself 2 times. And when it didn't work the second time, I thought I'd better start living right now. And excuse me, I might use some colourful language at some point today. It's a British way. It just slips out. If you want to edit out, you can.
No, that's okay.
And then basically, we had a TV show in England called The Hypnotic World of Paul McKenna. Paul McKenna to the mainstream is a very famous hypnotist. He's like our version of Tony Robbins, Anthony Robbins, if you're aware of him in England. And he had this show every Monday at 8 p.m. on British primetime TV when we only had 4 channels. And because I was a punk kid, and it was really before we had the internet, I believed this shit was real because I saw it pumped onto ITV every Monday at 8 p.m. So it's on TV, it's got to be real, right? Before I developed rational thinking. So one Sunday, I'm going through the News of the World. That was our most popular newspaper in England. And at the back of it, there was an ad for an audio cassette. This was before CDs, way before MP3s. And it was by Paul McKenna. And it was entitled Supreme Self-Confidence. So, and it was only like $20. So I was like, well, this is going to work. This is going to work. It has to work because it's on TV. I see him hypnotize this man to think he's Michael Jackson, hypnotize this woman to think she's Madonna. So this is going to work. So I listened to this generic one-size-fits-all audio cassette for 3 weeks, every day, every night. And that stupid, generic, one-size-fits-all, not specific to me or my issues, it changed my fucking life. So once I got that, I was like, wow, there must be something to this. So then I spent 21 years spending way too much money studying with people far crazier than me to get really, really good at this shit. That's the short version of it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So listen, a lot of people talk about hypnosis and hear like you said, like their version of it is, oh, I'm hypnotizing someone and they quack like a duck, or I'm hypnotizing someone and they're sleeping, and like, well, there's that little, whatever you want to call it, show business side of that hypnotism. It's much deeper than that, and it's much, and again, for what you use it for, you almost can't compare the two, is how I look at it. And some people believe in it and some people don't, and like, my personal opinion is I don't think it's either. I think it's one of those things, if you want help and you again, that you're willing to accept that help and willing to get that, then it's not about believing in it. It's about going through, an experience like anything and trying to, whatever. So explain that to me, just so that, like, tell me about that. Cause I'm sure you come through those challenges with that whole image of hypnotism.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at the screen that I'm on right now. It feels like I'm on the news. I love all the headings here. It's like I'm on Fox News or something.
This just in.
Yes. Like Ken Brockman. So I always tell people, if someone says, Luke, I don't believe in hypnosis, I'm like, well, it's not a religion. So it doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. I'm simply going to give you a bunch of suggestions to follow through, to use your imagination, to fire up your imagination, to channel it in such a way that gives you more of the results. So you can absolutely not believe in it, or you can absolutely believe it. Listen, if I've got two clients, Jared, and one absolutely, and this happens, they absolutely buy into hypnosis and everything it is, but they can't follow simple instructions, we ain't gonna have much luck. If I have someone who, like, look, I don't believe in this, I think it's a crock of shit, to which I say, yeah, me too, but can you follow some simple instructions? They're like, well, sure, I'm not an idiot. I dress myself, I've got a job. All I need is someone to follow some simple instructions inside their head, whether you believe in it or not. I don't necessarily believe in a thing called electricity. Well, actually, I should say, I don't know how it works. I don't know how electricity works. Most of the smartest brains in the world have tried to describe it, but we still can't quite channel it down. I've got this thing called an iPhone. I'm sending messages and texts to my girlfriend, every day. I don't know how that text gets from A to B. I just know how to do it, and it gets there. She can read it and she can send me something. So a lot of people, if I'm at an expo or something, people will come up to me like, oh, hypnosis, explain it to me. To which I say, I could bore the hell out of you for the next 45 minutes, or I could just do it to you. What would you prefer? They're like, what, you could do it right here, right now, 1,000 people around us? I'm like, yeah, close your eyes, put your feet together. And people almost act a bit shocked that it can be that fast. But that's all I essentially need, is someone to put their hand up and say, yes, I don't know if I believe in it, but I'm open. Let me experience some hypnosis. That's all we need. And then that door of the unconscious mind, some people call it the subconscious mind, is open. I put my foot in it before it closes, and we're off to the races to give them some experiences of difference.
And so I think you hit the nail on the head, which let's kind of jump into this, is I think a lot of people don't understand the power of the unconscious, or like you said, subconscious mind. And so because they don't understand the power of it, they don't understand what it does. And like you hit me up with some stuff that, again, whether it's conscious, whether it's unconscious or subconscious, like, whoever told you that, like, that breakfast, lunch, and dinner was something that was necessary to live, right? And it's one of those things that as you grow up, and like I grew up in a family where we sat down, we had breakfast together, and we sat down, we had lunch together. And so it's automatically programmed in there that we almost don't even think about it. Oh, it's lunchtime, I'm going to grab lunch. And like you had said to me is how often are you actually hungry? Like, how often are you hungry when you have, and here's the truth. It was never about hunger, right? And like my business coach always says to me, like, food is for energy. So like when I align what he always says to me, and kind of what you're saying to me, is like, why do we we have these habits, or we have these things that are automatically programmed in that we just go through our day doing, and sometimes those habits lead to great things, and sometimes those habits lead to damaging things. And like you've covered everything. For me, as a business coach, I do deal with people who have damaging habits. Don't get me wrong. I'm really trying to help people kind of change into developing good habits, and I want something to help them. And the hardest part is the stories that we tell ourselves in our brain that cause us to make conscious decisions that don't serve us, versus getting someone into a habit where they don't even think about it, right?
Yeah. So here's the thing. People come to me because they think I'm going to hypnotize them. Actually, my job is to dehypnotize them. Every person I see, whether it's the person who's overeating, whether it's the person who's having chronic pain in their body, whether it's the person who's reliving a post-traumatic stress disorder emotional flashback to something terrible that happened one time 20 years ago, they're already undergoing hypnosis. It's not a hypnosis that they're choosing consciously to do as if it's been done to them. My job is to essentially wake them the fuck up, break them out of the trance they're already on, which they have no conscious control over, and put them in a new trance tunnel where they can start to experience more freedom, more relief from those emotional flashbacks, more relief from eating to numb some kind of pain they haven't dealt with, more relief than this chronic pain that they've had for over 6 months. And the doctor's like, there's not a lot we can do right now. So I have to dehypnotize them to get them on the right track. And everything that we believe is a hypnotic suggestion. So, most people don't sit around a table, Jared, and say, all right, I'm going to believe I'm not good enough. Although pretty much everyone that I've met has a belief somewhere in them that I'm not good enough. Where the hell did that come from? Did you sit down one day and say, you know what, I'm a man, I'm 35, I'm not good enough? No, you heard it over and over again. And it was probably very subtle. Maybe it was from a parent. Maybe it was from a colleague. Maybe it was from a partner. Hell, maybe it was from social media. But you heard it long enough, loud enough, but below your level of consciousness, which is the best way to put hypnosis in there. And then one day you feel like shit, but you don't know why. It's just you've had this compounded interest of this negative belief over and over again, until one day you start to act as if it's real. And that's where most people's negative habits, negative beliefs, negative emotions come from. Yeah.
So, tapping into that's exactly kind of the struggles that I have, right? So when I work with somebody and they go, listen, I don't like to do that. So I ask them to do an activity and they go, hey, I don't like to do that. And I get into that with them. So listen, why is it that you don't like to do that? Have you ever tried it? Well, no. Okay, so you haven't tried something, but yet you have this, you're telling yourself that you don't like it. What would it take to get you to try it? And they kind of go, well, I'm just not going to do it. How do you change that? Like, how would you change that mindset with someone like, because it's funny to me because people get into these stories they tell themselves and they really just program their brain that I'm not going to do that because I don't like it, but you've never tried it. They get into this fear of rejection. So they're afraid to do something to get into a fear of rejection.
Yeah, so there's two things there. When we keep telling ourselves, I don't like it, we're actually installing a belief inside of our head using suggestion. We're using hypnosis on ourselves. We're not aware that we're doing it. But if you keep telling yourself and you haven't experienced something, I don't like it, becomes an affirmation. If I think I can, I can do. Who is it? Emilio, the person who invented affirmations. His name escapes me right now. It's a French fellow. But if I believe I can do it. If I'm good enough, if I believe I am, I can do it. But it starts off as a suggestion. You say that suggestion loud enough, over and over again every morning, 20 times a day, whatever. It starts to seep into your unconscious, and it starts to become, to use a computer metaphor, your operating system. It starts to become a new program that's installed into your unconscious mind. And we are basically a collection of our beliefs. We're a collection of our beliefs. Most of them we're not even aware of, but we're acting because they're the software that was installed many years ago, and we're acting as if. We're not sure why. Look, I don't know why I keep sabotaging my business. Look, I don't know why I keep sabotaging relationships. Look, I don't know why I keep sabotaging my diet. It's because you had a belief, you said it over and over again, probably unconsciously, and now that affirmation has become a belief, and you're acting from that place, which feels real to you. It's not real. It's just a story. you've told yourself over and over again, but because you've brainwashed yourself, which a lot of people think hypnosis is, you've already brainwashed yourself, or you've already allowed yourself unconsciously to be brainwashed by society, a negative partner, social media, to make yourself feel shitty.
Yeah. So give me some practical steps for somebody that is going through that, like somebody that is watching this, that maybe that I'm working with, maybe that even you're working with, and, or, that's out there going, listen, I'm a business coach and you do a lot of therapy stuff, but like for me, like, what advice would you give someone to take them out of that whole negative self-talk, that whole beating themselves up, that whole, I can't do something? Like you mentioned affirmations. I believe in affirmations. I say them daily. And it's exactly, the reason that you say is I want to put in my brain what, the message that needs to go in there. Because I think we do program our brains and we do come out with some sort of belief system that we don't even know where it came from. Right. So what would you advise to someone to change the way they think about that?
I call this affirmation on steroids. What you do is you get a piece of paper, right? This is not a piece of paper. This is my whiteboard. But you write down everything in your life that's not working. I.e., if you're overweight, I'm fat, I eat too much, I'm too slow. In business, I'm going out of business, I'm almost bankrupt, I don't have enough money. Everything in your life that's not working. I'm getting up late in the morning, I'm a lazy bastard. You write down every single thing you are aware of that's not working in your life. And then you get a second, you flip it over, or you get a second piece of paper and you rewrite it in the positive that you've overcome it or that you've achieved it. For example, I'm too fat and lazy becomes I'm lean and I've got all the energy I need. I'm about bankrupt would be I've got all the money that I need in the world. I keep attracting the same toxic relationship becomes I just attract amazing relationships into my life, the best ones. And it's absolutely brainwashing yourself, right? However, you've been brainwashing yourself for however old you've been with these limitations, telling yourself you're not good enough. So we're going to brainwash you in a good way. So you're going to rewrite everything in the positive. So for example, going back to the I'm fat, you wouldn't say I'm not fat, because if I say, Jared, don't think of a purple dinosaur with blue spots right now in your mind, what do you have to do inside your head?
Yeah, thinking of a purple dinosaur with spots.
You have to think of the shit you don't want to see. So you rewrite in the positive. I've got about 5-6 years ago, I wrote everything in my life that wasn't working. And then I rewrote it in the positive that I'd already achieved it, that it was easy. It was easy to get up early in the morning. It was effortless for me to exercise. It was the most simple thing in the world for me to stay in shape. All areas that I was failing in tremendously at the time. And I read it every morning and I read it every afternoon and I read it every night before I went to sleep. And I recorded it on my phone so I'd get the auditory as well as the visual. And sometimes I'd rewrite it every day because just by changing a word here or there, it would keep the story alive. We all have stories. Unfortunately, most of our stories are, I'm too lazy, I'll never be successful, and we're unconscious of it. When you make the problems, the invisible problems, conscious, when you make the invisible, I'm not good enough, visible, then you can start to change this shit. And one of the quickest ways without hypnosis is just write down everything that's not working, because everything that's not working is directing you back to a faulty belief that you have inside your head that you can't do it, you'll never have it, you'll never be successful. So make the invisible visible, rewrite it in the positive like you've already had it, and fucking brainwash yourself every day. See it on the piece of paper, hear it on your audio, say it out loud. And when you say it out loud, don't be like, oh, I'm really confident and I have all the energy in the world. No, brainwash, be a method actor, be like Robert De Niro. I have all the energy in the world. And you may feel like you're being a phony when you're saying it to begin with, because it's so foreign. You have 20 years of hearing this shitty voice inside your head. It's going to take a while to get it to sound as real as the shitty voice that says you're not good enough versus the good voice that says you are. But if you imagine the shitty voice is out of balance, we've got to take it to a stage where they're both in balance, and then we counterbalance. So the good voice that says you can do it, the new belief, becomes louder, and more weighing, if you will, for want of a better word. So that becomes your new compass, your new direction. We have to load it and set up the game so you're going to win, because right now the game's set against you.
Yeah, and I think it's set against most people, and they don't even know it. And so, like, I always preach, like, affirmations. Make sure you're doing your affirmations. And some people go, "Oh, that's so silly," or they feel stupid doing it. And I'm like, listen, this is the whole deal. Like, you don't like. And again, I'm glad you explained it that way, because most people don't understand it. I wouldn't have explained it that way, but it's so true. Like, it's you've been programmed on the other side, which is why you have that belief. Where it came from, we don't know. It could be because you had a screwed up childhood. It could be because you were bullied in school. It could be because maybe you just didn't have the confidence enough to, like, whatever that was. You said it to yourself, whether consciously or subconsciously, or whether you took it in enough that it's stuck in the back of your mind as a belief. And your beliefs are in your subconscious no matter what. And by doing these affirmations is changing your subconscious so that you no longer have that belief back there. And it's not easy, and it takes time, right? So like you said, it's like right now it's this way, and then you slowly have to work it this way. And I love it. So guys, write down all of the stuff that you think, like, listen, for me, it's like, you don't like talking to people on the phone because, like, we're in a business. You have to talk to people on a phone. I'm not a good presenter. Get better at presenting, and make sure that you're writing, like, write down all the stuff that you're finding challenges with, because, man, we all got them. And they're just going to keep coming, and they're there. And I'd rather you start programming your brain completely on the other side. So then write down your challenges, flip it over, whatever. Write the complete opposite in the future, like it's already happened, right, Luke? Like in the future, as if this has already occurred, right?
There's some conjecture on that when it comes down to setting goals and stating goals. One is, you want to state that the goal's a bit in the future, because if your unconscious feels you've achieved the goal now and you haven't, i.e., let's say my goal is to be 150 pounds and I'm 250. If I'm saying it as I've got it right now, my unconscious isn't going to take any action to get there. So there's a belief again, there's that word, right? Belief there. The other belief is, if I say that I've got it, my body is already going to be responding in that way to get it. So half the experts say, write the goal as if you've achieved it. I am 150 pounds. I feel great. The other half say, I'm close to being 150 pounds and I'm feeling great. The thing that both of these have is, you can have the emotion now. You might not be able to have the end result now, $1 million, a supermodel girlfriend or wife, or, the $100,000 car. But you can have the emotion now. You can have confidence now. You can have happiness now. You can have energy now. But the actual goal, I call it lag time. You're on an aeroplane. You're flying from Canada to America. You know you're going to get there. If I'm flying to New York, it's about 4 or 5 hours. I'm there. I'm halfway there. I know I'm going to get there, but there's that lag time. I'm doing everything right. But, 4 hours is 4 hours. I can't make it any faster. There's that lag time of actually achieving the goal, but you can have the emotion. And that's the reason we do anything, to be honest, is to get the emotion, because there's a value why this is important, to be slim, to be successful in business, to be successful in relationship. And that value gives us motions. It makes us feel happy. It makes us feel feels us alive. But we can have those emotions now. You can have those emotions right now. You don't have to wait until you've achieved the goal, so to speak.
Cool. All right. So, I don't want to keep you too long. I know your time's valuable, but let me just ask you this last question. Is, I want to create a new habit. Let's say I'm like you said, I'm being lazy. Matter of fact, this whole COVID thing is kind of, because everything's slowed down a bit, that I've like started sleeping in. I've started just getting lazy. But I know the secret to my success in coming out of this whole pandemic and make sure is that I got to get up and be at work at 9 o'clock, and I got to change the habit. I was good at it. I got to change that habit outside of kind of affirmations and making sure you're kind of doing that. What are some practical steps that you would give someone to say, you need to create this one new habit? This is how you need to start redoing that.
Focus on one thing at a time, because sometimes when people come into hypnosis, I speak to them on a screening call like I did with you, and they'll give me 25 things they want to change, which is lovely, which I can help them with, but we can't do everything at once. So we essentially will go for one thing. Well, Luke, I need to train. I need to get up early. I need to go for a walk. I need to drink a glass of water when I go. I need to shave, whatever it is. That's overwhelming. And when we get overwhelmed, the structure of overwhelm is most people feel that the stuff is above their head, pushing down, to use a metaphor universally with a lot of people. Overwhelming is almost like you're juggling with too many balls, and then they don't want to do anything. So one thing I teach people, whether it be through hypnosis, which is the fastest way, you can do this without hypnosis, it just takes a bit longer, is whenever you imagine the 10 things you have to do in the next hour, just imagine that you're standing on those things, that those things, those 10 balls, those 10 things you're standing on, or instead of them over your head, they're actually underneath your feet. Then suddenly it's still 10 things you need to do, but you feel completely different. It's a weird brain hack, but then you still feel a lot more in control, because if we feel overwhelmed, we don't want to do anything. If we're standing on them, that overwhelm just dissipates.
That's interesting. So my coach always said to me, because I overwhelm is a word that I used a lot. He'd always say, "You're not overwhelmed, you're underplanned." So like, it's funny that you say put them on your feet, under your feet, because like that's like when they're putting them in a plan and you're planning everything and you're submitting to that plan and you're doing that. That's sort of kind of what you're doing, is you're putting it under your feet and you're standing up and you're gaining control over the things that you think are out of control. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And by the way, we don't control anything, at least consciously. A lot of clients come to me, "Look, I want to be in control." Or one of their things about hypnosis is, "I don't want to be out of control." Oh my God, Luke, are you going to control me? Right? That's oftentimes when people come to me and have an attitude about hypnosis, after further investigation, almost all of the time, it's simply that they're scared. They're scared of, holy shit, what if this works? And what about this crazy man with 48 tattoos is going to control my mind, all right? But the thing is, no one's in control consciously. They did in England, we have a thing called Open University. In fact, it's the big, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Have you, Jared? Open
I have
University.
not. No.
It's the biggest online university in the world. It's been around 50 years, but it's legit all around the world. And they have programming on the BBC. When the BBC in England goes off there about 1 a.m. every night, Open University is on for 5 or 6 hours, and we watch these shows at university or school. Anyways, long story short, there was a documentary, and I believe it was something along the lines of free will, proving if free will existed. You can find this on YouTube somewhere. Type Open University free will. Basically, what they did is they got people to go into a fMRI machine or a CAT scan, can't remember which one, and they gave people buttons to press, a button in their right hand, a button in their left hand. And all the people were asked to do by the neuroscientist is think about which button you want to press. Okay, I think I want to press the right button. Count to 5 in your brain, then press the button. Now, their brain scan is being pumped into the machines, into the computers through the glass that the neuroscientists are observing. In 100% of the cases, and they did this with hundreds of people, different races, different genders, different ages, different mental health. In 100% of the cases, the neuroscientist could predict what button everybody would press 7 seconds before they made the conscious decision, which was 5 seconds before they pushed the button. Because a certain hemisphere, a certain activity in that part of the brain that would be linked to those muscles and tendons would fire off, which meant before we even consciously decided which button to press, our unconscious, some people call it the subconscious, had already made the decision 7 seconds before. The conscious mind then came online to want to feel like it was important to confirm it, and then they pushed it. So you or I ain't controlling anything consciously. We are unconsciously, hence why just talking about stuff in traditional talk therapy, about 90% of the time doesn't work. Whereas with hypnosis, we could distract the conscious mind with some lovely experiences or tricks, if you will. And while the conscious mind's being distracted, go in the back door and make the real changes there.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, listen, Luke, I super appreciate your time today. How would people get in touch with you if they wanted to talk to you more about kind of what you do, and how you could help them? What's the best way? I know we have your website down below. You can visit them on Facebook. Is that the best way to kind of reach out to you?
Yeah, so my website, www.lukenosis, Luke like me, and Gnosis like hypnosis. You can go on there, or you can friend me on Facebook, and you'll notice that I'm posting daily videos and inspiration and stuff like that. And we've been working together. We've only done one session so far. How much weight are you down so far?
I'm down 10 pounds in about a couple of weeks. So
that's awesome, man. And we've just started this journey and down 10 pounds already. That's how powerful your mind is, and that you've done that work. So that's great.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's listen, I'd like to say, oh yeah, I'm on it and I'm 100% there. Listen, it's all a process, right? Like I have good days, I have weak days, but the ringing in my mind of like you said to me, like, are you hungry? Like that's now and again, it's funny because like that, it totally switched and changed after our session in the sense that now I'm thinking about that. Now it's there and it's right now it's but my goal is for, like you said, for it to become unconscious where, if I'm not hungry, I'm not going to eat. Like that's the deal. Cause I don't know. It's awesome.
Because the thing with eating, right, is most people, and I put myself formally in this category, we eat completely hypnotically. We're watching the TV, we're doing the social media, we're reading, we're shoveling food down our throat. And within 5 minutes, we've pretty much eaten our whole meal, which in the olden days, 50 years ago or so, it would have taken us 20, 30, 60 minutes to eat. So by taking a process that we're doing, which becomes hypnotically, we're doing it like a robot and making it conscious. I'm sitting down, I've switched off my social media, I've switched off to TV, the newspaper, and now I'm going to enjoy every single bite. It starts to make the invisible visible, and then you start to, like I taught you, am I head hungry or tummy hungry? Tummy hungry is like, go and eat something now, this is good. But if it's head hungry, it's like, I'm bored, I'm tired, I'm emotional, I'm angry, I'm trying to numb something, which is not hunger at all. It's just an emotion that needs to be resolved. But once you become that and you ask yourself, truly, am I head hungry or am I tummy hungry? That's the first gateway. And if you're head hungry, teaching people how to deal with those emotions. But if they're tummy hungry, by all means eat. But most of us, most of the time, eat because we're head hungry, because it's a routine, because it's a cultural hypnosis, a global hypnosis. And we're eating and we're not even hungry. It's just a routine or a habit.
And what's interesting, it wasn't even that I wasn't hungry. And again, like I said, I haven't been perfect by no means. And I've taken your advice of, hey, when you eat, turn off everything and sit and enjoy the food. And I still catch myself grabbing my dinner, grabbing food, sitting on the couch with the TV on and eating, because that's just how we do it here. And I catch myself that I'm not even tasting the food at all. Like it has nothing to do with tasting the food. It's just the activity of eating while I'm watching TV. And so I always say to myself, can I stop doing this? Because I'm eating and not even enjoying what I'm doing. And therefore I'm eating for no reason. Like, even if I am hungry, I'm not tasting it. I want to sit down and taste and enjoy it and make it worthwhile. Right.
How many times have you heard this story? I've become hugely successful in business. I'm changing the world. I've got all this money. I'm on the Fortune 500. I'm on the front of Forbes magazine, but I don't feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
Which is the greatest tragedy. I always teach people, if you're going to eat, whether you're going to eat a plate of broccoli or you're going to eat your favorite piece of cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory, whatever the hell you're going to eat, enjoy it. Sit down and savor it. Enjoy the hell out of it. Because there's nothing worse than eating your favorite cheap food and not even feeling it or enjoying it and just feeling like a piece of shit because you're like, oh, I feel guilty, I feel ashamed. If you can eat it, feel good about it. Be fulfilled. Otherwise, it's a horrible tragedy. You achieve success or you're eating some cheesecake and you're not even enjoying it. What a tragedy that is.
Yeah, 100%. All right, my friend, I appreciate all your support and help with me. I appreciate you coming on this. Again, I love what we talked about. It helps. I think people understand a little bit more about, how the steps they need to do to help themselves and how they think and what they do. And appreciate you, my friend. Have an amazing weekend, and
You
we'll
too.
chat later.
Always believe.
All right.